Hey guys, what's going on and welcome back to a brand new rebuild, and today we are going to be rebuilding Tottenham Hotspur with a fantastic 4-3-3. If you guys do enjoy the rebuilds, be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. But let's get into this rebuild and hopefully let's win a trophy with Tottenham. That's the aim. So then, Tottenham Hotspur, they won the poll quite comfortably a couple of weeks back, and I do genuinely believe it is going to be quite a challenge. Now, they have got good players, and to be fair, the money the owner does spend, especially in this game, is relatively good. They've got good reputation, good training facilities, good youth facilities, and average youth recruitment. But to be honest, you've just got that little, it's like a curse. They just can't win a trophy. So that's down to us, really, to try and actually come in, win a trophy, whether that be the Premier League, the Champions League, Europa League, anything. I'm going to do my best to try and do that. And I do think with a little bit of investment in certain areas, especially the back line and the keeper, we can possibly make that happen. Now, the first season is possibly going to be a bit tricky because we have only got 26.4 million. Now, with this type of money, you can possibly look into bring one player in, which I do want to do, which is going to be Trubin. I already know the keeper I want, and that's purely because Lloris is a liability. I've seen him in FM. He makes a lot of mistakes. He's obviously getting older anyway. He's on a decent wage, and it'll be better for us and him just to leave the club, and we can get a new keeper in. But there are more than him that I do want gone, as you can probably imagine. And this is a perfect way of me displaying that. So we're going to start off from the striker going down. Obviously, players we want to keep would be Harry Kane, Heung-min Son especially, Kuleveski. But the likes of Perisic, I want him gone because he's on a ridiculous wage and not really going to contribute. Richarlison, all depends on how he performs. You can get a Richarlison that performs, or you can get a Richarlison that doesn't perform and then turns into an arrogant someone. So he can go if he wants to leave. In the midfield, I genuinely believe we've got some good options here. Basuma's a player I'm definitely going to keep. Bentancur, Højbjerg, I would say average. Yeah, average at best, but they are okay. They're okay for the first season or two, so I'm not going to look to move them on as a priority. The back line is where things do get a bit tricky. Obviously, we have got a fantastic wonder kid, I believe, on loan at Tottenham. I forgot his name now, who is going to come back. So we're not going to sign a left back because we are going to have him coming back. But in the future, we're going to look to definitely offload Sessegnon and probably Davies. On the right back's probably the most concerning spot because Emerson Royale and Doherty both are really shaky. Tanganga's okay, but obviously not really going to cut it at right back if we're trying to win the Premier League. But Royale and Doherty, just nothing between them. They really do worry. They worry me playing, especially Royale, because he just has lots of mistakes in him. Centre back wise, this season we're okay because we've got Romero, we've got Longley, who is only on loan, and we're not going to buy afterwards. I can already tell you that. But for a season, they're okay. As for Eric Dyer, I'll take him or leave him. In terms of goalkeepers, as I said, Hugo Lloris is already gone. That's the first thing I got in at this video because I do think he is a big liability. And we can definitely bring in a keeper who might not be as good now, that can grow over however many seasons we play. But this is what we've done in the first transfer window, and it was quite an active window. Obviously, this is including all the transfers that were done before we got here. That's why it says 225 million. We did actually manage to sell Hugo Lloris to Lille for 12.2 million, and also Brian Gill, which is a player that didn't even show on that list, to Leipzig for 14 million, which I don't think is too bad. Now, the reason we sold Gill is because I just don't really have any plans for him. I mean, I don't think he's going to get into the team. And when you can see the player over here that we've signed, he definitely isn't even going to get in as backup. So I decided just to move him on so he can actually carry on with his career in a different league. But the players we actually decided to bring in is going to be Trubin from Shakhtar for 40 million and Zaniolo from Roma for 53 million. Now, it's a bit of money spent, and some of it was done in installments, but the keeper was essential. Zaniolo possibly, I wouldn't argue, was essential. So obviously you have got Lucas Moura, you've got Kuleveski, but I wanted a younger player. I'm just trying to get some younger players in the team because there are a lot of older players in this squad, and I think it is a little bit of an issue. But this is the first signing then. Now, right off the bat, he might not look that good, and that is because he's 2.5-star ability as of now. But this player can grow, and he will grow. And the thing about him is, even if he doesn't grow to a standard which is ridiculous, the 4-star, that's what I'd typically like, I can then have a keeper like him as backup who will easily be a 3-star and then sign another keeper, because at the moment, before this, we had Hugo Lloris and Forster, and them two are just not going to cut it at all. And to partner him, obviously, we did bring in this guy, and I signed him because I saw him on the market. I've used him with Roma, obviously, in my private save, and I was like, do you know what? We need to pick him up because he's only 23. He's got the potential to become a leading Premier League player, and his attributes already are really good. And even if he doesn't get into the first team right off the bat, he's a great player to have into the squad. And this is going to be the team to go into the first season. I'd actually say it's fairly decent if you ignore this back four, or back three. We don't want to disrespect Romero, but other than that, it's really good. I mean, we'll say the full lineup anyway. We've got Trubin, Royale, Dyer, Romero, Davies, Bentancur, Højbjerg, Basuma, Son, Kuleveski, and Kane. It's a decent side. Obviously, as you probably gathered there, Zaniolo isn't in the team, which I kind of did think would be the case because Kuleveski is a great player as it stands. But on the bench, we've got the likes of Sanchez, Perisic, Richarlison, Skip, Moura, Doherty. So that's where we need to improve because the bench isn't the best. This is the player I can't wait to get back for next season. And also, as blunt as it sounds, we're going to have players come back which we can sell, which then can fund better players coming in. So this season might be a little bit rough, but the season after should be better if this one goes bad. But hopefully it doesn't. Let's get in to the first season and see how we done. Well, there's a lot of red here. It doesn't look pretty if you look at the team competitions. But what I will say is 4th place is okay for the first season. Champions League football does it for me. I'm happy with that. And I think that will be quite good because we should get good finances as well. Harry Kane, not surprising me at all. 40 goals, the highest scorer. No surprise there. 78 goals scored, only 41 conceded. In terms of the cups, I'm not even going to talk about them because it's not pretty, is it, if we're being honest? And one thing I wanted to show you guys, actually, look at the gap from 4th to 3rd. I've never seen it that big before. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we literally clenched Champions League on goal difference. So, Harry Kane, well done. Because that is probably the reason we got it, because we had a player like Harry Kane scoring 40 goals. But these are going to be the stats then. We're going to have 40 goals from Kane, Heung-min Son with 19 goals and 14 assists, Kuleveski with 13 goals and 12 assists, Basuma, 8 goals, 4 assists. Then it does drop off a little bit. 21 here, though, from Højbjerg. That's really impressive from Højbjerg. 21 assists for a player like him. When I say a player like him, by the way, not disrespecting him, I'm just saying, obviously, he's not the most attacking midfielder, is he? 8 assists for Royale. Not too bad, to be fair to him, but still going to be looking to offload him, as harsh as that is. But overall, it's not a bad season. I mean, the cups were pretty poor, is the only side I would take. But I mean, the Champions League football thing is a massive, obviously massive in football. It helps with the funding, and that's exactly what it done, as we are now given £100 million to spend before we get the players back that we look to sell. Some of the players we are going to look to sell, by the way, are going to be your Ndombele's, possibly we'll try and offload Davies as well, obviously from last season. Too many names to mention, really. There are quite a few players I do want to sell. So the next window is going to take quite a while to get through, but I'm going to get into the second transfer window and come back to you once we've made some new signings. Then, guys, this is going to be the first page. There's 2 pages of transfers. Before we do break it down, I really would appreciate it if you would hit the like button and do subscribe to the channel. It's completely free and it helps the channel grow massively. And also, be sure to leave a comment right now on the team you want to see rebuilt next. But anyway, let's break down this transfer window. So this is going to be the second one. And as you can see here, we have managed to sell some more people. Monaco seem to be very attracted to Tottenham players. I don't know why, but they come in for loads of them. And they offered decent money, so I said have them. Emerson Royale to Monaco for 28 million, which I think is very fair. Davison Sanchez to Monaco again for 8 million. Possibly got a little bit ripped off there, but I wanted him gone. Ben Davies to Monaco for 16.5 million, which I think is fair. So you can't really complain. In terms of players that we brought in, we did bring in Pedro Porro from Sporting, obviously to replace Royale, for 32.5 million. So the difference there is what, like 4.5 million. I'm happily going to pay that out of my pocket to replace someone like, you know, Emerson Royale for Pedro Porro. It's a no-brainer. It really is. The next page is more players we decided to sell. As you can see here, Ndombele to Roma for 34 million. I think that's a really good price for him. Richarlison to Atalanta for 19.7 million. And Harry Winks to Monaco again to 10.7 million. And we spent big. We did spend big because we offloaded a lot of players. We brought Edson Alvarez from Ajax for 32 million. Versatile player that can play in midfield and at the back. Enzo Fernandez, obviously a very hot talent from the World Cup, from Benfica for 49 million. Kulusevski, that was a deal that was already done, so I take no responsibility for that. Neres from Benfica, sort of to replace Richarlison as the backup winger for 37 million, and a Valentin from Porto for 36 million, because it's good to have a very good backup striker, and also Kane is only going to get older. But these are the players then. So Pedro Porro for me is just a little bit of an upgrade on Real. I don't think he's got the mistakes in him. He's got what I want. He's quite attacking as a fullback. Still got decent tackling as well. So he's pretty much the perfect wing back in my opinion. And obviously does get really further forward, which I want to see because we are playing some attacking football. The next player is going to be Edson Alvarez, again a player that can fill in the midfield in any of the roles defensively, and also makes a fantastic centre-back, and has got some really good balanced attributes over the cards. I mean, he is 25, so he's sort of, he's not too old either, which is the sort of aim we're going for. We're trying to sign people that are 27 and under, but obviously younger, younger the player is technically better for us here, because we are just trying to future-proof this club. The next player is going to be Enzo Fernandez, age 22, valued at a lot more than what we paid for him, and a world-class midfielder at the age of 22, already a leading Premier League division player, and I will be very surprised if this guy doesn't get into the team when we filter by best 11, because his attributes are absolutely incredible. The next player is going to be Kulusevski. Obviously, we've seen him before, but this is a player that the deal was already done, and I'm not against making this signing. He has got the ability to become a leading Premier League player, 23 years of age, and you know what? He's already an elite attacking midfielder, and, it's quite a handy player to have in the squad. The next one is going to be Neres. Again, valued a lot more than what we paid for him, 26 years of age. By the way, the reason we sold Richarlison was because he was angry he wasn't playing more games because of the World Cup. I looked at his performances, they weren't great, so I told him to sling his hook. I told him to go. I'm really not a big fan of Richarlison. I don't know what it is about him, but I always had a grudge, so that could be a little bit biased. I wanted him gone. He's out the door. So we bring in Neres, who offers pretty much the same in my opinion. Obviously, he can't play at striker, but he can instead play on both wings, and that is something which I think is sort of handy in this system, because obviously we have got a couple of wingers in the side, and we also, to back that point up, we have just signed a Valentin, who is an all-and-out striker, so we didn't really need another player who can play on the wing and striker, because we brought in this guy, by the way, who looks absolutely nuts at the age of 23. He's an elite striker, 16 finishing, 16 pace, 14 acceleration, so could be a little bit quicker, but overall a pretty much all-and-out complete striker, and someone that possibly might even start some of the games, but not brought in for that purpose at all. He's brought in to fill in the games that Kane can't play, and also possibly come on as an impact sub for some reason if Kane can't get the game going. But now the team looks a lot better, and when I say that, not too many, well, there are a few changes. You obviously got Trubin, Alvarez, Porro, Romero, Udogi, but is how you say that. That's the player I was on about before. Bentancur, Bissouma, Fernandez, Zanilio starts this time. Son and Kane. But this is why I say it's a lot better, because the bench looks really, really good. Forster, Regulion, Højbjerg, Avalson, Dyer, Kulusevski, Mora, Rodon, Neres, Perisic, Tanganga, Lo Celso, Troy Parrott, Doherty, and Skip. Now, I know there's still a lot of the same names in that bench, but there are now some really good players you can look to bring on. And that makes all the difference, because I feel like sometimes you're in a game, the game's not going your way, you can't get anything going. Last season, we had Richarlison to turn to. Now you've got several players you can look to bring on and have an impact, and hopefully that makes a difference. So let's get into the second season and see if money does get you results. It clearly does. When I say clearly does, in case you forgot, money does have an impact on football, because, I mean, we've actually managed to come out and win the Premier League in the second season. Something which I didn't think we were going to do, to be honest. I thought we were looking at least 3 to 4 seasons, probably 3 seasons, to rebuild a team that is capable of winning the Premier League. But we have done it magnificently. And also, the new signers have helped outrageously in this scenario. 101 goals scored, only 25 conceded, also winning the Carabao Cup, and it's this man again, Harry Kane. 54 goals, which is absolutely incredible, really putting the team on his back in that scenario. And if we have a little look here, you can see some of the results here that happened. I'm very disappointed against Liverpool here, but the Champions League final, it didn't come up here, so I thought I'd show you. We actually lost that 2-1 against PSG, which is a little bit annoying, but I can't complain because we almost won the Champions League, the Premier League, and also an English trophy. So, I mean, it's not too bad. And in terms of stats, we're seeing Harry Kane maintain that goal scoring record. 54 goals, Heung-min Son with 22, 18 for Zanidio, sorry. This is where I want a little bit better from the team, because after these 3 players, it drops to under 10 goals a game. 10 goals a season, sorry. And it's okay, but the thing is with that is, if these players do stop performing for some reason, we need these players to pick it up a little bit, because ideally we'd want to see like a 54, a 22, an 18, then possibly like a couple of 16s, you know, just a little bit higher, because the goals are purely reliant on Kane at the moment, to be honest, which you would expect. But if he gets injured, if he doesn't play very well, we need someone to fill in. In terms of assists, we'll look at the key ones here. So we've got 10 coming in from Basuma, 11 for Fernandes, 21 for Pedro Porro, a fantastic first season from him. 15 for Zanidio, and 22 for Son. Son having a very good season there as well. Over 44 goal contributions if you include assists and the goals. So a very, very good season from him. And we actually have been given an outrageous budget now of 143 million practically to spend in the next transfer window. The Spurs board being very generous, I suppose. We got Champions League football, we won the Premier League and an English Cup. So, you know, it sort of is deserved, but I don't know how we're going to spend this. I feel like this is the point where we can bring in some absolutely ridiculous players, and also we've got players to sell. So we're going to get into the third transfer window and see exactly what we can do. Then guys, there's 2 pages again in this transfer window, because again it is a very active one, and the first one is going to be, we'll go over the players obviously that we sold and brought in. So the players we sold are going to be, we discussed Harry Winks, Monaco again poaching 2 of our players for whatever reason. Ryan Sessegnon goes to Monaco for 12.7 million, Rodon goes to Monaco for 6.5 million, Eric Dyer goes to Chelsea, which I don't really mind, I know it's a rival, but he's absolutely diabolical, to Chelsea for 33.5 million, and Matt Dossett goes to Celtic for 3.2 million. So slowly but surely we're getting rid of the players we don't want and bringing in players we do. And we bring in on this page Timber from Ajax for 63 million and Kakir from Trabzonspor for 12.7 million, just so we've got a pre-made goalkeeper so Trubin can carry on developing, but at the moment it's just not really where we want him to try and push for this Champions League. But overall, this page alone would be a success, but we've also got this page, and the selling isn't as serious in this one. Obviously, you can see a couple more here in RB Leipzig taking Lucas Moura for 6.7, and Lo Celso going to Napoli for 7.2 million. We do replace Lo Celso with Kenneth Taylor from Ajax for 60 million, and Fiata from Rennes for 50 million pounds. And these are going to be the players then. So 2 centre-backs come in to obviously add some depth, replace Dyer as well. The first one is going to be Timber. We all know who he is. I'm not going to talk too much about him because we know exactly what he can do. Very versatile, can play right back, centre back, and in deep lying sort of areas of the midfield, and really is a complete player. Next one is going to be Kakir. Again, a 4-star ability keeper, which is exactly what we need at this stage now, because I feel like we're at a point where we risk not going to our full potential if we don't have a pre-made keeper, because we're winning the Premier League. I'm not pinning the blame on him, but possibly if we had a 4-star keeper and maybe another group, like good defender that we brought in, we might be able to win the Champions League last season. So this guy, again, is a very safe option and will do a job. A little bit older, but it doesn't really matter, because if we were going to play this safe for 20-odd years, we've got Trubin ready, who can obviously replace him. We then go to Kenneth Taylor, a player I've never signed, by the way. We got scouted him, and he just looks a very versatile player. 4-star ability, valued at a ridiculous amount of money compared to what we paid for him, and only 22 years of age, already a leading Premier League player. And I always like signing players I've not signed, because otherwise rebuilds do get quite boring. You see the same players sort of brought in, which I know Timber I do sign quite often, but you always have that one player which you always sign. A lot of people, it's Makoko. For me, it's Timber. I always like to get him in the teams. But this player here just offers a very balanced approach to the game, can play in several areas of the pitch, very balanced attributes, and I think just is a good player to have in the team. We then go over to Fiata, who again is a player who will be pretty much a backup option, I'm pretty sure. 24 years of age, good tackling, reasonably quick, good anticipation, good bravery, good determination, and good positioning. So another good centre-back, and definitely an upgrade on Eric Dyer. And this is going to be the team going into the next season, which I would believe make it the 3rd season. And we are seeing some new faces actually get into the team now. Obviously, we've got the new keeper, Porro, Timber, Romero. The usual left back, we have Fernandes, Basuma, Kenneth Taylor gets in the team, Son, Kane, and Zanidio. And now this is what I want to point out again. We're slowly seeing the bench have sort of a younger approach, a little bit more energy on the bench and a lot more sort of passion, you know, players that are going to want to fight to put on the shirt, come in and get a first team spot. And also, one thing I failed to point out is the amount of money we've saved on wages by moving on these overpaid players to bring in people like Taylor. Taylor, for one, is on very little a week compared to someone like Lo Celso, and it does make a very big difference. And I genuinely believe now we're slowly getting to the point where I can consider this a Champions League contending side. So let's get into the next season and see, hopefully, if we can win the Champions League. Well, guys, unfortunately, we couldn't win the Champions League, but what we did do is maintain the Premier League title, which I'm more than happy with. I think that's a big accomplishment, and also we did win the Carabao Cup against Liverpool. Lost the Community Shield and not the best display in the FA Cup, and the Champions League was a bit of an iffy one because it was against Inter Milan. However, we did score 103 goals in the Premier League division and only conceded 37, with Harry Kane still getting these 50-plus goals a season. When will he stop? I don't think he ever will. But in terms of actual player stats, again, we are seeing a very familiar pattern. So do we need better attackers, or is this purely a tactic thing where it does focus on sort of, you know, the front three getting getting the goals, which is completely fine. But I'm just used to having a midfield which also chips in with sort of 10, 12, possibly 15 goals a season. But Harry Kane with 59 goals, Son with 18, 15 for Zinedine, Romero actually with 9, 8 for Fernandes, Basuma coming in with 7. In terms of assists, we've got 12 coming in here for Kenneth Taylor. Not a fantastic first season, but a decent season. We've got 15 coming in for Zinedine, 24 for Son, and 10 for Kane. So, in my opinion, we could see a little bit more goals going in from a more variety, you know, a wider variety of players. But we're winning the league, so I'm not going to sit here and complain too much. And like I said, the only aim of this sort of rebuild, the target was to win a trophy, but I don't really want to stop, or at least want to play one more season and just see if we can win that Champions League, because the team we're building here is really, really good. And to carry on with that, we have been given 108 million to go into the next transfer window. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go and spend it. And hopefully this can be the season where we just polish off the little bit, you know, just completely make this team world class to perfect, you know, bring in some younger players. I want another young midfielder. It'd be really nice to go and get someone like Gavi, to be honest. I don't think that's realistic, but if we can make that happen, that'll be ideal. Or a Bellingham, a De Jong, someone ridiculous in that midfield, I think could be the final piece of the puzzle. So let's get into the next transfer window and see who we can bring in. This is going to be Gavi then. We all know Gavi. We know what he can do. A fantastic midfield player that can obviously play in a several roles to, well, Metzala upwards, to be honest. But his attributes are really good for the age of 21 and a really good player to have into the team. And the next player we have, we've got to go back a page, is going to be Mathys Tel from Bayern, a player which I'm pretty sure we know, a very popular player to sign in this game because of his potential. Can play on the left-hand side, can also play up front. And to be honest, he's obviously got a lot of competition in both positions there. But if I was going to carry on this save, I'd probably consider putting him either in the under-21s for a little bit to get some game time, or to loan him out and just make sure he develops perfectly. But if you do develop this guy correctly, he can really become a dangerous option on the wing and also up front. And to be honest, the season we have actually done here, and we didn't win the Champions League, I'm going to be honest, but I'm going to show you now. And it isn't too bad because I'm actually happy. I thought about it. I was like, do you know what? I'm a bit gutted we didn't win that, because again, it's PSG, by the way. It's PSG again we lose to. But we've done a lot for Tottenham. We've won them 3 Premier Leagues. We've won them English trophies. Obviously, this one is going to be the Premier League and the Community Shield. And we have done a lot with them. The squad is absolutely ridiculous. We'll be looking at that very shortly. But to be honest, I am happy with how it's gone. And to be fair, you know, to go from winning no trophies to winning the Premier League 3 times on the bounce, I think is a massive accomplishment. Obviously, this time we scored 99 goals, 34 conceded. We go into the squad, 62 goals for Harry Kane this season, 26 coming in for Heung-min Son, Zinedine with 20, and then we still couldn't fix this issue here, which again might just need the tactic might need a little bit of tweaking, a little bit more attacking in some areas, but overall, I'm very happy with the team. If we have a look at the finances, they've left them in a good spot financially. They're still rich, 178 million overall balance, 123 million in the balance, a good wage budget as well. In terms of the tactics, obviously we are going to be going over this. A big shout out to GYRFM, is his tactic. I always like to credit the tactic creator. This is just a really fun way for me to sort of do a tactic test, but also do a rebuild. It's a really good idea. But this is going to be the team we've left them with, and I do think it's really, really good. Obviously, we'll go over each position quickly. Keeper, you obviously got Huracan and Trubin. Right back, you've got Pedro Porro and the likes of Edson Alvarez. Anyone else? Yeah, you got Spence and Tanganga still. Centre backs, you've got Timber, Fiata, Romero, Alvarez, and Tanganga, who can play there comfortably. Left back, you've obviously got the star man himself, Amragulion, as backup. In midfield, you've got Taylor, Basuma, Fernandez. Alvarez can play there, Bentancur, Højbjerg, Gavi, Skip. Some really good options in that position. On the left-hand side, you've got Son, you've got Neres, you've got Tell, you've got Evalson. Some really good players there. Also Troy Parrott, who I don't know, we haven't really focused on him, to be honest. On the right-hand side, we've got Zanidio, Kuleveski, Tell again, Spence, Neres, and up front, we're going to have Kane and obviously the usual suspects. So overall, I think we've left him in a very, very good place. They've got a very strong squad. So I'm quickly going to go over this tactic now. I believe I did tweak something from this tactic, so the version that you download from him yourself might look a little bit different, but as you always know, you have to tweak tactics yourself to suit your save, whether that be a position or possibly you need to go a little bit more attacking. But we're going to go into it. So it's positive mentality. In possession, fairly wide, work ball into the box, low crosses, shorter on the directness, a higher tempo, and run at defence. In transition, you want counter press and counter. Out of possession, you want a standard defensive line, a high press line of engagement, much more often, get stuck in and prevent your goalkeeper distribution. In terms of the player roles, like I said, I might have changed one of these. I'm a bit unsure what I changed. But in goal, you want a sweeper keeper on attack, tackle harder, dribble more and take more risks. The right back is a wing back on attack, shoot less often, tackle harder, run wide with the ball, cross from byline and get further forwards. The left back is a wing back on support, cross more often, shoot less often, stay wider, tackle harder, run wide with the ball and get further forwards. Two centre backs, you've got a ball playing defender on defend, stay wider, tackle harder, take more risks and hold position. And on the right hand side is exactly the same. The three in midfield, you've got a deep lying playmaker on the support role, tackle harder, mark tighter, shoot less often, take more risks and hold position. The left-hand side is a Roman playmaker on support, dribble more, shoot less often, tackle harder, mark tighter, take more risks and roam from position. And on the right-hand side, we've got a centre midfield player on support, take more risks, cross more often, shoot less often, roam from position, tackle harder and mark tighter. The three up top, all attacking players, by the way. Inside forward, dribble more, cut inside with ball, take more risks, cross less often, get further forwards. On the right hand side, a little bit different with an extra instruction, tackle harder, dribble more, cut inside, take more risks, cross less often and get further forwards. And the star player of the team, the press and forward, dribble more, shoot less often, move into channels, close down more and tackle harder. And that is going to be his tactic broken down. The link to his video, well, technically, believe it's going to be on Hood Gaming's channel, will be in the description, and also the link to the FM Scout post as well. So do show some love, say that I sent you, be sure to do that. And yeah, that is a really good tactic, guys. I would recommend playing it. I know there are a lot of 4-3-3s this year, a lot of 4-2-3-1s, but they are sort of the easiest and most dominant systems in football. That's why you see so many variations of them. But that is going to be this video done. Like I said, successful rebuild. If you guys have enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Do check out also my social medias in the description, guys. I'm very active on there. A lot of you guys have been messaging me on Twitter and Instagram recently, which is always good to see. So be sure to follow them, and also the TikTok, which is in the bio as well. On there, I simply post sort of shorter versions of tactics, some stuff you don't get to see on here. So definitely worth checking it out. But that is going to be it for me today, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.